All right, we should be good. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming in Miniature video. And in today's video, what I thought I'd do is do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to be rebasing. Oh, that's right. I still need to get some figures out. Okay, so these are my ancient Gaelic figures, either Celtic, Gaelic, Germanic, whatever you want to call them. Um, I am going to be rebasing them, and I think what I'm going to do is rebase them on 3 different sizes. I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to do this, but I have these 60 by 30 bases, which is which is like your traditional ancient miniature game base for 28 millimeter, 25, 28 millimeter. Plus, I've got these 40 by 40s, which would be 4 figures across, and well, 2 figures across and 2 figures back, a lot like your Hail Caesar or Sword Point. And then I also have these round bases for skirmish games like SPQR or Warlords of Erewhon or whatever. That's what these are. Now, I've considered leaving some of them on 25 millimeter squares just for that option, and then like a unit on this, a couple of units on this, and then some odds and ends on that. But I don't know exactly how I want to do that just yet. Now I brought these bases out for my 15 millimeter Napoleonics. I want to rebase them as per meg for the game that I'm writing, which is Marshals and Generals. Is I'm going to experiment with some units based like this. Now, I could experiment with just the bases and moving the bases around on the table or whatever, and just experiment that way, kind of like the way old System 7 used to play. I don't know. Have any of you guys ever played System 7? I bought that game in the 70s, right? And it came with bases, and they were printed counters like Squad Leader or Tobruk or Third Reich. So you had these long bases like this. They were a lot thinner though. They were like maybe 10 to 15 millimeters thin, and you moved them around on the table, just the counters, which is kind of what got me started, kind of like got me started into whole mass combat miniature wargaming was System 7. But because I had always played like Tank Charge or Angrif or something like that. But these are kind of deep, right? They're 30 millimeters deep. And they're 60 millimeters wide. So I don't know how many guys. I'm overlapping bases or trying to. Looks like I might be able to get 3 guys comfortably on that base. But like troops like Romans and stuff like that, you're supposed to be able to get 4 across. That'd be tight. And then I've got these guys for the S for Hail Caesar. And a unit would normally be like 6 bases. It doesn't have to be, right? Because Hail Caesar uses a variety of different basing methods. 40 millimeters is kind of the official, but you can do it pretty much any way you want, really. So a big giant base with a mob of guys is the way I used to do it. I used to do it like 80 across and then 80 deep, and then you would have a giant base to move around. Because in Hail Caesar, you don't actually remove figures or pluck figures off. You only you mark them with casualties, and bases never get removed. Okay, so if I was to do, and these guys aren't organized in any fashion, I'm just counting figures, really. So if that was one, that was two. And I am going to mix these up. I've already pulled them off of the store. I did that last night in anticipation of doing this today. It's a lot of this crowd. It would be required for one unit. And I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to make smaller units to make it easier on the pocketbook. People that are interested. All right, so there would be one unit from Hail Caesar, what have you. Now I'm going to pull up my PDF for Meg, and I want to see like what a Celtic, either Breton, like Britain, or just straight Celts, Gauls. I want to see like how many figures are supposed to be on a base. Well, I pretty much believe that it's a 4 and a 3. I wouldn't be able to do a lot of units. Give me a second while I touch this guy here. Now I know the Germans are flexible. The Cherusci are light infantry. But either way, what am I looking at? I'm thinking Pacto, right? Because Pacto can always be expanded upon. Wouldn't be medieval, would be classic. German, Gaul, and Britain. I'm in the right place. Okay. Being zoomed in so much I can't see what I'm doing. Let me find a Gaelic. Oh, I'm scrolling. Germany and Gaul. Here we go. Highland or Lowland Gaelic. 2301. Three. 01. It's also Germanic is in that area. Okay, so let me see if I can't shuffle things around. Really? Better display looks connected to me. There we go. Basically, I just wanted to show you what I'm looking at. Oh. Oh. Okay. Well, so yeah. All right, so this is the Highland Gaelic warriors. That's what I'm thinking. Yep, they're loose. Okay. So that means there are 3 figures per base. Extra figure. So I technically could do 6 bases. And a unit is 2 or 3 bases. So that could be 2 units of 3 or 3 units of 2 bases. 6 figures per base. And that's what I'm trying to do, is make bite-sized chunks that people can add. And it says the minimum that you can have in an army is 6 bases, which that would be right there. Yeah, so that leads to good things. Now, the warriors here are protected. Nobles are also protected. Okay. Okay. What about Lowland? Yeah, everybody's protected. Well, they're technically protected because they have a giant shield. You know, that's why they're protected. Okay, well, that would prevent me from doing any round bases, right, for skirmishing. How many bases how many warriors? 40 bases? You could have up to 40 bases in a Gaelic. Now this one is 28 bases. But it also allows soldiery and noble. Island is no soldiery. No, they got nobles and followers right there, and soldiery up here. You can just have a lot of infantry in the Highland. When you go to the Lowland, it gives you more options for cavalry and chariot. I got you. But it can be used for either one, right? I'm just going to call it Gaelic. Okay, well that answers that question. Three figures per base. Stream. Close all those. Okay, so now what I'm basically trying to decide is do I want to do any of these, right? Hail Caesar, because a Hail Caesar unit is pretty much this big, right? And that would be a big investment. Where I could make make 7 units, which is 14 bases. Or if I want to go something even, I could throw this odd guy into a group like this and put them on round bases, right? That's 7. I could do 3 of these guys on round bases. That way you have a unit of 10, right? And then these would all be stands for like Meg. I'm gonna do it that way. I'm not gonna do those. Okay, cool. We got that out of the way. Okay, pulling out my trash can right here. I made sure that I put a cozy on my thumb because if I'm going to be doing cutting, I don't want to cut my thumb. So I'm going to do some round for SPQR. Now, picking and choosing which one for which is kind of tricky. I've got a musician, 2 standard bearers. I could easily put a musician and a standard in that group. Or I could put them on these bases out here. Now what I'm trying to do is get under the base. Okay, that at all. Look at do I want to organize these by shield color? Shield size and design? Or do I want to mix them up? And like this guy could easily be a skirmisher. He could be a javelinman, right? Maybe I make a couple of skirmish bases. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that. Do that. Because only 2 figures is needed for javelin skirmishers. And you know what I didn't do is see how many javelin skirmisher bases are in a unit. I have a feeling it's 3. Bear with me, guys. Now, if you guys chat with me, I'll be glad to respond to your chats. Ancients, Acto, Classic. What was it? 2301, I think it was. To 23. Yeah, it's 2301. Archers, slingers. Okay, javelinmen. 1 or 2 bases. Okay, really? Really? In Pacto, I guess. 1 or 2 bases. Oh, wow, I didn't anticipate so few bases for Pacto. For javelin. My soldiers that are carrying javelins. And then guys. Okay, so that might change the composition of my units. Because there's a unit right there. 450. Now, if I'm able to clean these bases, I'll save them. And it looks like I should have no problem cleaning them up. Just scraping off the block. I don't think my Napoleonic figures are going to come off this easy. These guys are coming off pretty easy. Now the 10 skirmishers, I don't think I want to put any javelin men with them. And then again, I might not have 10 skirmishers based on how many javelin men I have. I really don't want a whole lot of javelin men. See any more javelins? So there's 5 bases of javelins. That's an odd number. Well, you're allowed to have 1 or 2 bases in a unit, right? So maybe I'll include a base of skirmishers with a unit of warriors or something like that, maybe. I'm just thinking out loud. Ooh, this guy's on there. Now, some of these guys are carrying swords, and some of them are carrying, and some of them are carrying spears, and some of them have chainmail. Right, so I think I want to put all the chainmail guys together. That's the way I did my personal Germanic army was. I put all the chainmail guys in a unit and I called them nobles. Now I could put all the bare-chested guys in a unit and just call it a bare-chested unit and then let people decide if they want it to be, you know, fanatics or just warriors or whatever. That's what I'm thinking, but I could put one chainmail guy in each unit as the leader of the unit, you know, the headman. I don't know. Right now there's only 3 figures with chainmail. Okay. 4 or 5 right here. Odd amount. Unless there's one in here. And there's not. So that's an odd number of chainmail. Now I can supplement it with like a standard. That's not bare-chested. Neither is he. Yeah. These guys are all bare-chested. Okay. So, if you've never had to rebase, that's one reason why I like to use Elmer's on my basing, is so that all I have to really do is take a sharp X-Acto knife and kind of cut down between the figure base and the wooden base just to get a little bit of leverage, and then I just twist the knife and pop him right out. Yeah, he's one of my bare-chesteds. Oh, I've already done him. I don't know if I'm coming down with something, but last night, and right now, I got a little bit of a scratchy throat. I think my nose might be draining into my throat. You know how when you get sick, you get but it's not too bad. So, but in the middle of the night when I got up, I drank some water and I could feel it kind of burn in my throat. And I'm doing this over my trash can because sometimes this flock will come off and go down into the nether reaches. Yeah, this if you were into Meg, right, or not Hail Caesar, Meg, or like Field of Glory or DBA. I think this would be a really good start for a complete army, right? Because you would have more than the minimum warriors and javelin men. All you'd need now is some generals. Now I could take a couple of these guys and mount them on a bigger base and call them generals, right? So I could make like a general base, but none of these guys really qualify for that. I used to have the Vercingetorix model. He basically had a couple of dogs with him, and he would have been like a really good general model to put out there. Now every one of these is a warlord miniature, and warlord, their Celts have a tendency to lean forward heavily. It's pretty disgusting, actually. I think it's too many models lean forward. If it was one per sprue, I think that would be probably okay. And that actually might be what it is. It just seems like it's too many. It just seems that way. Okay, they're all debased. Let me think how I'm going to do this. These guys are not paired up the way I'm going to do them. I'm just putting them out here. Okay, so there's 5 bases of javelin then. That's all those. I am running out of bases. I'm gonna have to go grab some more. Hopefully I didn't put them away. Yeah, in my 60 by 30s, I am very thin on 60 by 30s. I might need to get some more. If I decide to put some Romans together and stuff like that. They're 60 by 30. Yeah, these are 60 by, these are thick. Okay. Okay, I think I'm gonna do 4 bases of shirtless. That won't be a problem. And I should keep the army list up. Because if I decide to do nobles, I wonder if there's a minimum base to make a unit. $23.01 right there. Nobles, 2 base unit. Okay, and you could have up to 4 bases, but basically there is a 2 base minimum. The javelins have a 6 base maximum. Okay, that's fine. I've got 5 bases right there. Okay, so I need a 2 base minimum. So I'm thinking I'll just put in a standard bearer and that'll look just perfectly fine. So there's 2 bases there. What did I say? 4 bases. Oh, I'd already pulled them out. Okay. 4 bases for them. Might not be doing any round bases. I still do want to do some round bases because there's going to be an odd number. Because if I did 4 bases, there would be 1 figure just hanging out. All right, plus these 2. So there'd be, okay, that's another base. Okay, I don't need to do any round bases. Good. I didn't want to do any. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. have to do it. It'll actually come. It actually comes out pretty good to go. I need to refill this because this is too waterful. Too watery. Bad. Yeah, the last time I mixed up some water with my omers, I had put too much. It became very runny. So, bag right here, so we get that out of the way. They stick like Velcro to my little things. I dropped one. Okay, not cutting. I don't need that thumb one on. I don't need the pinky one on. I'll use it. All that flock. Oh. Okay, always put the burn marks up because that's what's going to be covered in the grass and everything else. And so it leaves the underside clean. So if I wanted to write on if that changed how thick it is. Still a little watery. That's all right though. I don't know if I want to put the standard bearer on the and I'm gonna put him back just a little bit because remember these guys are kind of tribal. I can see now I'm gonna run into a problem. They're all in the same pose. Nope, maybe not. Problem. I'm gonna have to put the stands. little bit of chaos going on faces. Okay. Okay with that, the way everybody there is positioned. That's gonna. Okay. Stomach cramp. Quick. Like a stick. Okay. See if this works together. Okay. They work together. They obviously. You pretty much wouldn't set it up this way, but I'm gonna. Feeling this is not gonna work. But that's okay because that's not how. They fight two ranks deep. So we're gonna let that dry. Do some skirmishers because those should be a lot easier to do because there's only two figures per stand. Now I'm putting this, that's like a little imperfection in the stand. I'm putting that up even though the berms are on the other side. That's because the texture and all that will cover all that. I probably could shake this up a little bit. I doubt if the glue has like sunk to the bottom of the water. I don't think that's a thing. There might have just been way too much water in there. So I don't think that I want to pair them up, but it looks like there's only yellow and blue. I think originally I painted them like that to put them into units of yellow and blue. But I think now I'm going to put a yellow in one and I don't know. Let's do it this way. Put a yellow and a blue on most of these. You know, that guy is very lungy. Now, I've been thinking about the last ones, like do a blue base and a yellow base, but I'm not going to. Just thought about it. Yes, and if you hear my wife coughing up a lung, it's because she's had a bad cough over the last few days. Would he look better like that? Nope. Looks better like that because he's actually looking this way. And it looks like he's skirmishers. I've got 4 bare-chested warrior units, which they're 2 base units. They're basically just warriors. In the some units have something called soldiery, and they can be fanatics. So you could say they're fanatics, right? But I kept it on the screen. Not the nobles. The soldiery. Maximum of 2 bases. Oh. Okay. Only a single tug of soldiery is permitted. Soldiery cannot be used. Okay. If the soldiery are fanatic, the army commander must be deployed with them. But in lowland Gaelic, soldiery, you can have 2 bases. Same thing. Okay. But I'm just, what's going through my mind is naked fanatics. You know, like, but those are actually earlier period, I think. Actually, they might be Britannic. Ancient Britain. Okay, let's take a look here. They have what's called families. They have masked slingers. Okay, warriors. Okay, none of those guys are fanatical. They have, I'm actually. Oh wait, am I looking at the wrong? I was looking at German. Hold on. Ancient Britain. They have something called fierce warriors. They're not fanatics. Oh, that's Scots Irish. Okay. The British just have 1 page. Okay, I didn't even realize. tribal loose warriors, 2 or 3 bases a unit for their warriors. Nobles, they're 2 base units, right? Which, boom, you got that. But they don't, wait, it says, yeah, they don't have anything called fanatics either. Surprised. I thought the British had the, okay, maybe it's the Picts, because the Picts have, they have something called best protected warrior. They have warriors. There we go. Let's do this. Think. There we go. They have the Attacanti warriors. I'm looking over here and I'm looking for, I got fleet of foot. I don't see any fanatics. You know, there's the British. I don't see any fanatics. Now the Germans, okay, the only fanatic I see is the Solduri or the Gaelic, right? Solduri. You got to pay a whole lot of extra points to get them to be fanatic. But this is only 2 bases. Okay, I'm just gonna have 2 units, and it's up to, because somebody might be playing Magna, instead of Pacto or whatever. But I'm gonna make 4 bases worth, and sell them as 2 units. Yes, all of these are going to be going up for sale. Just so you know. I see that it's hard with the spears, and these guys, a lot of these guys have spears. It's going to be hard getting them to fit on these bases. A bit of a boo-boo right there. All right, you naked fanatics. Let's see how we're going to get this. Okay, if you're lungy, I think I want to put you further back on the base. And because these guys are tribal, I'm not putting them like, I'm doing like that, like kind of not putting them all on the same row, not like a Roman, where they'd be shoulder to shoulder or whatever. um, oh, here's a guy that's pretty lungy. Trying to get some glue underneath his base. Really? Really, dude? I want to put them a little bit further forward so that they're not all shoulder to shoulder, you know, lockstep. Them to be kind of. I want to put a swordsman on there. Okay, they're almost all swordsmen. Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, so I want to make sure I've got at least one spearman per base. Spear, 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 spear. Got another spearman here. Can go on any of these bases. I'm going to put. No, I'm not. I don't know. Here. Yeah, will fit okay on this. A unit. Rest of these guys are all swordsmen. Should be no real big issue putting them on the stand. Because they're all standing upright. Swords raised, etc. I'm trying to mix up the shield patterns and colors. Trying to, but it doesn't mean it's actually. There we go. Okay. It looks like he needs to be twisted just a little bit. Not that he isn't already twisted. I mean, they are bare-chested warriors. Yep. Okay, they work. Okay, that works. Side by side, front to back. Finger. These guys could just be a regular unit of warriors. They don't have to be fanatic or whatever. Just okay. Gonna put a musician in one of these and a standard bearer in it. I want a variety in all my stands. Here's These guys are good. He's guy is like all about leaning forward. These two guys. I guess there's going to be some vacuuming. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off for you guys. All right, vacuuming. I'm trying to plan ahead so that I'm not struggling with putting them in place. But I don't like that sword arm picking. I think all that's going to work just right. All right. All right. Here we go. I think these guys were pretty straight across, but pulling them back because the board's sticking kind of far to the front. He's good. Okay. This guy. Really? That looks. Now this standard constantly wanted to fall over. We're gonna see if blue the what do they call it? Suction. Actually making him stand. Perfect. Okay. They're all rebased. I didn't use any round. It worked out really well, discovering that I had skirmishers that were 2-figure bases. That really. Now I want to do some Napoleonic rebasing. Yeah, I gotta let the omers dry. That's gonna take 30 minutes to an hour. And then and so what'll wind up happening is off camera, I'll be putting texture paste on there and then flocking. Uh, and then I'll show that off probably tomorrow. I'll make a video showing them off. I'm starting to get very chilly, like goosebump chilly. So I think I'm gonna put yeah. So we're done with the Meg rebasing. Well, the ancient rebasing, call it, not Meg, because my Napoleonic is going to be using Meg based styles as well. So there's only 5 bases of warriors, right? So I'm going to sell that as probably a 2 base unit and a 3 base unit. And then 2 more bases of warriors without shirts. And then the noble unit. And then now I might do a 2 base unit of, yeah, I might do like a 2 base unit of warriors and include 1 base of skirmishers, right? So it'll be 3 bases, but it'll just be 2 warriors, 1 skirmisher. I got 5 skirmishers, so I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do it that way. Or I could do it another way. I don't know. I'll figure it out because I don't know if I want to sell just a 6-figure unit. You know, it's a Pacto. It is a Pacto unit for Meg. Or if I want to sell skirmishers separately. I don't think so. I don't know. I can mix them up or not mix them up. What do you guys think? I don't know. But give me a minute. Let me grab my Napoleonics, the ones that I'm going to do. I'm going to put a sweatshirt on as well. So. Ooh, I bought 1990. When I know that for the bought it and the 30th. And you can see that these guys are already on 40s, but they're about 40 by 15 to 40 by 30th. The 73rd. Planning on doing 3 British, 3 French. And this is the 30. And you can see how these are all already previously based on the 40 by 15. And you can see my French are not based the same way, right? They're based on 20 by 30s, which I thought I was going to I thought I was going to do that a lot like Napoleon's battles. Okay, now I'm going to do a... And these guys are all kind of like advancing, but you can see how these guys have their bayonets and everything like sticking straight out. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to go with a 20 millimeter depth over the 15 millimeter depth. 15 millimeter depth is fine, but I've noticed that they become top heavy and easy to be knocked over, specifically when they're on a hill. So by going with a little bit deeper base, hopefully there will be less of that. And these are the same ones that I use for my ancients. This is 1st Battalion of the Light. And that's 6 battalions of French. Okay. Or 3 battalions of French. That's all I really wanted to do. 3 battalions. And I can see this is going to be a pain in the butt. I'm only going to do these, and then I'll be able to do a little play testing of my rules. Or at least that's the plan anyway, right? Because I'm pretty much locked in on all my rules right now. I really am. I just have to work out some modifiers and unit like variations. But other than that, I'm pretty locked in. I'm just kind of making room for the rest. Okay, there we go. Now I really thought I was going to want to base all my guys like this. You know, with the 4 figures, 2 ranks deep. You know, it's automatically beautiful. You don't have to force your players to do 2 ranks because the bases are already in 2 ranks. But I don't like... What I don't like is the way I was going to work out combat. I was going to... Okay. So basically it was a trade-off, right? It was going to be... I was going to have units deployed in line, hypothetically, like that, right? And which pretty straightforward, right? And then I was going to do combat by every 2 bases. So what I was doing was artificially creating a math problem for my players, right? Because I was going to say you're going to have to divide by, every 2 bases was going to be a die. And so either by doing it in combat or by formation, I figured it would be better to streamline combat and not streamline the formation, because that allows me to streamline the formation. But I think it becomes more important to speed up the game to streamline combat, right? So by having a line like this, it's already separated by two of these bases, right? So instead of it being Velcro, so instead of it being math in the formation, I'm sorry, math in combat, I don't have to do math in combat because it's already figured out for me. So that was my plan. Now, I was going to predetermine that one of the reasons why I went with this size base was because I was going to predetermine what a player's formation could be. Right? So we were going to say attack column, line, like I just showed, or marked column, or square, or whatever. And by putting it on the thin bases like this, it would make those predetermined formations accessible or attainable, right? But then I kind of had an epiphany where I don't have to predetermine any formations. Let the players do what they want, right? So if I let the players do what they want, I can leave it like this. Well, it's going to be like this, but you get the idea. And if they want to form, attack columns, they can. They want to form a line, they can. If they want to have a guy like that, they can do that. If they want to be stretched out super thin, they can. I'm going to allow them to do that. But in the combat chart, there's going to be a modifier that they're not going to want to be like this. that's going to be plus 0, right? Plus or minus 0. This is going to be minus. And this will be a plus, right? So they're going to want to be like that in a melee, right? They're going to want to be like this in shooting and possibly melee. The reason why I say that is because if they're attacked like that, right, they're going to have supports. So it's good to stretch, but not to the point that's getting you minuses, right? So, like right here, if 2 ranks, I'm going over the rules instead of cutting this up, but I'm just giving you a heads up. This is giving you a plus 0, right? And so, and the pluses, I don't know what they're going to be. I'm just using +1, -1 as a general rule, but it could be bigger or smaller. I don't know. But you'll know that there will be minuses. But that's the default formation, is 2 ranks deep. Like this, they're getting 0 plus 2, right? Okay. Where if they were like, hypothetical, like this, they're getting a minus plus 2 or plus 1. I don't know. I might give, I might say something like only ranks or files that have 2 ranks can support. So that'll give players incentive to be like this, but they don't have to be. That's the point. I don't want to make it mandatory. I want to let the players position their troops however they want, but know that if they did that, they would get a lot of minuses on shooting, but they'd get a lot of them, but it would just be minuses, right? You get a die per file, but when you only have 1 rank, you're going to have minuses. So if they want to do that and have a lot of dice, they can, and it might be beneficial to have a lot of dice. I want the player to have to make a decision. I want them to give them the authority to decide, I want to stretch out because I want more dice. I know there's minuses, but I'm taking that gamble. Or I want to bunch up so that I don't get the minuses. I'll have less dice, but all those dice will be stronger. You know, that's what I'm thinking. And then in the fighting, if I say every additional adjacent file that's got 2 ranks or more lets you either gives you a plus. No, actually, it would give you an extra die, or it would give you an up. Because I'm trying to remember how Meg works. Because you get a die per file, but they only fight the guys directly to their front. Additional files, I think, give you an up. So if you have a 0, this gives you a +1 when you're comparing, because you compare like their quality versus their quality, and that gives you a baseline. And then this would give you an up, and this would give you another up, and then and then you take so you'd have an up 2, because that would be your baseline is 0. Then you go boom, boom, I'm at +2. And then you look at the +2 line on the chart, and it says, okay, you roll this dice, he rolls this dice. And I think that would give you an up as well. So if he was like this, 3 ranks deep, I think you would get an up, but then you would lose that up from over here because it's not 2. So he might do something like this, where he gets the up for this, and then he gets the up for the adjacent. So it's still 2 ups in a narrower, an attack column, basically. But this gives him the same 2 ups, right? And I say up because it pushes you up on the chart. So that gives you 2 ups, but it also allows you to shoot 3 times. So that's a better formation for shooting. Okay, and that's exactly what I want it to be. I want line to be a really good shooting formation, and also it fights just as good as a column. But it's up to the players to decide how they want to organize their guys. All right, that's enough of that. Let's start cutting. Okay. Now, because I'm going to be cutting, I'm going to make sure that my thumb is protected. Because in the past, I have cut and the blade would go into my thumb. It doesn't really. Puts a lot of micro cuts on your thumb, and then eventually, wears it out. Okay. So what I've done in the past is 1 unit at a time. I think I'm going to do that today because they're organized by uniforms and flags. If you didn't know, these flags are Fighting 15s. Awesome. Now, when it comes to the British, when it comes to the French, I use GMB because Fighting 15's French flags suck, and GMB's flags are too expensive when it comes to the British, because the French are only carrying 1 flag and the British are carrying like 2. Okay, so I want to tear this unit apart, and the reason why is because you see these guys are skirmishing, and I want to see how the skirmishers fit on these. And this is the 1st of the 2nd Light Regiment. 1st Battalion, 2nd Light Regiment. Ooh, that's not Elmer's. That looks like Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue. These bases, trash. Not even going to try to save them. Fortunately. Yeah, by having that. Now remember, part of my whole philosophy between my marshals and generals rules is I want it to be fast, fun, and playable. And that's kind of like ridiculous because if it's fast and fun, that means it's already playable. You know, so it's kind of like I'm doubling up on the playable. Okay, there's a chance that I could cut this thumb. My best not to too deep through the glue. If you don't cut low enough, it might cut into the figure base. I do well. It didn't hurt anything. You see how far these bayonets like stick out in the front of that unit? To get it to form up, I had to like angle the figures, and I had to and then if they were to try to go into melee with another unit to their front, those bayonets would all get in the way, and the stands wouldn't be lined up against each other and stuff. That's one reason why I wanted to go with a little deeper base, single file on a deeper base. Now, I got the idea. There's like a bunch of different rules that I lean on. One of them is Land of the Free, which is actually an American War of Independence rule set. And it uses 40 millimeter wide bases as well, but it uses 30 millimeter depth. So if you could imagine, here we go. Yeah, 40 millimeters wide by 30 millimeters deep. That is one base in Land of the Free. And Land of the Free puts only 6 figures on that base, not 8, like which is. And I thought about going in that direction, because that would save a bunch of figures. What that would wind up doing would make my units only like 4 bases. And I wanted them to be 6. Now, I could do 6, but then I would have to have 36 figures. And the bases. Okay, this guy doesn't want to come off. I think I'm cutting into the wood. Right, the other direction. Okay, I'm already a little bit upset with myself using this Gorilla Glue. Kind of like rubber cement. I don't know if you can see how it's coming apart like that. Now, I might have used it because these guys might have been forward heavy and they were constantly like leaning forward and not standing up straight. And by using that Gorilla Glue, it would have held them in place. That is a possibility. I could have used like super glue or tacky glue. Tacky glue would be a better option because it's more like Elmer's. It's a white glue, but it's just very sticky. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and clean all these bases off. And by finally getting my basing locked in, hopefully I won't have to rebase anybody for a while. Hopefully. Now what I'm going to do is kind of take that off. I'm using my fingernail. If the flock is loose, knock it off. If it's not loose, then just leave it. Yeah, I can see now why I did that is probably because it wants to lean. It's forward heavy. That bayonet being so low and sticking so far out to the front of the model. You guys don't want to stand up. Sure, he's all right. Time for some tacky glue. Don't need that knife to help clean these guys up. All I'm doing is running my fingernail across the outer edge of the base, just trying to clean off any of the, okay, there's glue residue on the bottom of this base. Yeah, and these forward facing skirmisher types or chargers or that kind of stuff is the ones I want to do, the ones I want to experiment with first, just to see how well they do on these bases. And I think I'm going to change my basing material as well. All these guys have a variety of different, like, static grass flock. I think I'm going to switch to a scatter. So a lot of these figures will have a little bit of static grass on them already. Going forward, I think I'm better. Well, I know I'm going to do. And it needs to be like the ultra fine scatter, not the big chunks. It's got to be like super tiny. And I think Bosch is the one that makes that. I've already got a bunch of bags. I got them a month ago in anticipation of doing it. And I'm glad that I mean, peace of mind, really, that I finally have decided how I'm going to do my basing, melee, and shooting and all that. The only thing I really need to work out now is the modifiers. Now, I'm not doing morale like Meg. it's good for the Meg game, but for my Napoleonic game, I want to use a more fluid morale system, not that hard, fast, lose half your army, lose the game. I'm gonna lean on battle group. So every time you lose a unit, we're gonna draw a chit. And those chits have numbers on them. And so it'll be variable. So you don't know if when you lose a unit, you don't know if it's 0, 1, 2, or 3 points against your army morale. So the army will have an army morale point, and that's going to be based on the types of units you have. The more elite unit is, the more it's going to count against your army morale. So let's say a grenadier unit. When you lose a grenadier, I'm talking about old guard. When you lose like an old guard grenadier unit, maybe you have to draw 3 chits. And maybe when you lose a militia unit, maybe you don't have to draw a chit. They're like free. You can lose them and they don't count against your army. Something like that. And then once, and if you keep it secret so your opponent doesn't know how close to your army breaking is, and then once your chits total up to your army morale, your army abandons the field, you lose the game, it's over. Maybe by taking an objective like La Saint or Quatre Bras or something, causes your opponent to draw a number of chits based on the value of that objective. So if it's like super important, maybe he's got to draw a couple of chits. If it's not important, then maybe he only draws 1 chit. If it's less than that, then don't even call it an objective. It's not. Right? It's just a building or just a crossroad or something. But if that crossroad is important, then assign a number of chits to it so that when it's taken, counts against your opponent's morale. Now, I thought about this. If he retakes it, he's already lost that chit. It doesn't come back. I mean, you don't like discard it once you retake the objective. But then what if your opponent retakes the objective? Do you draw another chit? I don't think so. I think it's the first time you lose the objective. I think in battle group, if my memory serves me right, I think in battle group, every time you lose the same objective, you still have to draw a chit. So you could lose it 3 times in a battle, and you would have drawn 3 chits, like going back and forth. Okay, those guys are great. See if I can find some tacky. The Elmers might work, but I don't want to risk it. Notice that everybody today is very quiet. There's not a whole lot of commenting or chatting. Everybody's just watching and enjoying. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that almost as good as comments. I do have a poll going up to see how you base your ancient model. So if you have an ancient army, and I'm curious, do you play mass combat like this? Do you play skirmish? Do you play other battles? But I suspect that almost everybody's playing Hail Caesar. It's like a super popular game system. Now, one thing, having 6 of these bases, right, is going to do to me, going to take a little bit of extra space. Because this is the footprint for 6 bases. This is the footprint for 6 of these bases, which not much more, but it is more. It's that much more. It's a whole this much extra. Which means putting them on my shelf or in their cubbies or wherever they're at, they're going to take up more space. They just are. Okay. Now you'll notice that on my British, I put both flags on the same stand, making it basically like a command stand. I've considered, like I did with these bases, I didn't put both flags on the same stand for the British. What I did was I put them on adjacent stands because I knew they were going to be deployed something like this. And so what I wound up doing was I'll kind of show with, I'd put like a flag there and a flag there, and they would be in the center of a formation like this. But I think that's unnecessary, right? I think it's actually, I'm just going to do it just like I have here. I'm going to put both flags on the same stand. I'm just going to do it that way. Okay. Let's kind of organize these a little bit. My Voltigears. These guys over here are my Grenadiers. I guess they don't call them Grenadiers in the light battalions, right? They call them Right. They call these guys chasseurs, I think, not voltigeurs. I think they still call these guys grenadiers. Okay, so orange. I think that's also orange. Actually, kind of hard to tell. I think these two are orange as well. There's a company. Then again, that's orange. This almost looks purple. I might have to go over and repaint these bad boys. Because this purple and the orange looks similar. And they shouldn't. Orange, light blue, purple. Okay. So they're organized. Okay, I'm gambling. Come on, tacky glue. Be good. Be good to me. I think I'm going to need to order another one of these if I'm doing. Well, actually, I might not. Because I'm only doing it because of the way the figures are. If they were just your standard, I'm standing upright kind of model, you don't have to worry about the tacky glue. Right, you skirmishing bitch. It still sticks out the front, but it's okay. Not a huge amount. Reloading. Okay. Advancing, trailing, or whatever they call it when you're carrying your musket low like that. I think they call it trailing. Now I might take the musket and just give it a little bit of a turn so that when they go base to base, they won't be bumping into each other's heads or whatever. Okay, that looks good. And it's going to give me a little bit of. Now, I've considered. That's another thing I've considered. If you put the figures closer to the front, you would have this much room in the back to put labels or stickers or something like that. I don't want to do that. That's against my religion. Okay. Okay, tacky glue, do your thing. Hold these guys that want to tilt forward. These guys are charging. Yep, look at that. Okay. I can see that there's blue residue. I thought I'd clean this off. Guess not. Now I'm just using regular tacky glue instead of the extra tacky. Okay. There we go. I think the figure was a little bit the I think the base was a little bit bent as well. Still is. I kind of think it still is. Well, dang. Okay. Might have to get my pliers out. Straighten some of these bases as we go. Give them more of a upright. Right. Might have to get my extra tacky. This guy looks like he'll be okay if I don't keep bumping him. I'll stand on his own. Giving them all just a slight left turn. So that if there are figures to their front, look at that guy, he's gone again. He just doesn't want to be there. This guy's got no way. This guy. So just in case, see what would happen. Found them. Okay. I twisted them just a little bit too. Got to keep my eye on this guy because I know he wants to fall. Got to be careful. Got to watch that guy. Light blue. Now I'd like to put them centered on the base itself, but when they've got bayonets and stuff sticking way out the front, got to put them further back on the stand. Well, I don't have to. I want to, so that their muskets and bayonets don't interfere with. Might be too. What's going on with this guy? Oh, awkward. And this is really one of the reasons why I've stopped buying this pose. It's because they don't fit well on stands and they fall over when gluing them on, and they stick too far out the front, and just all kinds of issues. Let's hold you in place. Not while I straighten out the bayonet. I don't know if that's enough of a turn. Yeah, he looks like he's holding. Good. I'm using these guys because most of them are standing. Twist. Pull them back for Yeah, pulling them back help quite a bit. Let's do these guys. So do I want the standard bearer to be in the middle or on the edge or on the side? I think I'm going to put it on the side. Beside the standard bearer, we're going to put the guard. Yep, I've already messed up. Okay, we're going to put the guard on this far side. And I'm going to put the standard bearer standing right next to it. And then we're going to put the officer right next to the standard. Pointing. Looking. Drummer beside the officer. There we go. That looks pretty good. Officer probably could go a little bit closer to the standard, maybe a little further to the front, giving him more of a I'm in charge kind of pose. Push the drummer back just a tad. I think that's actually a really good stand right there. I'm not going to mess with it. Okay, my back. Leaning over like this, killing me. Okay. Yeah, it looks great. And let's see. These guys stack up behind these guys. Oh, perfect. Oh, look at that. Okay. Oh, get back to that grenadier. Yep, he's still standing. That's tipped over. Not gradually like they do. Okay. Oh, my back. Complain about my back. Okay. Okay. Little double check on this guy. Good. Okay, I think that unit good to go. That's in March column. Yeah, leaning over like that is killing me. Oh. No! What's going on? What did I hit? Did I hit something that caused it to do that? Buckle. It looks good. Something happened. Reason that face just doesn't fit straight. that guy on the base. Yeah, there's something going on with his base. Ah, I see. There it goes. Now he's laying flat. Okay. I almost forgot. So I need to save one of these bases because it has like the unit designation on the bottom. And I probably would have forgotten. I could read the flag, it would tell me exactly what it was, but it's easier if I just keep that off. And so what I'll do is I'll just put this like right there and it'll let me know exactly which unit is that unit. Okay, so we're gonna do a British unit now. What time is it? 2:30? Okay. Hmm? Did that figure just stick to my thumb and then I threw it in the trash? Oh my god. Now I'm. Where'd it go? I think I see him. Do see him. Get him without him falling deeper into the trash. Yeah, these little things are like Velcro. They're knit. Well, they're supposed to protect your thumb from cuts. Or not just your thumb, but your fingers from a variety of different things. Like when I'm boxing up stuff, or I put them on because it prevents my fingers from getting friction burns. I'm going to toss all of these except for the last one. These guys should all have green collars and cuffs, and they do. This is the stand with the lights on. Not getting under the face. Yep. Ooh. Hard to get a good grip on this super thin base. Be able to cut, get underneath figure base. Being very careful not to stab myself. This is acting like Elmer's, but it's too hard to cut. I wouldn't think it would be Elmer's. Yeah, I got another officer and a drummer on a totally different base. And a sergeant. Got the pike. Uber. There should be a flanker company, right? I'll have to figure out when that is. I don't think it's just the lights. I think there should be, or maybe it is. No, there should be like a grenadier company. I thought. See it though. Now the British Center Company, they all look the same. So they don't have the varying pom-pom colors like the French do. So I could easily just mix and match just to make a variety of poses, or I could put all the same poses on the same stand or whatever. Keeping that because of the name. Check these bases. Knock any extra flock off of them. Try to get the base to be back to normal. Clean any glue off of it so that it'll rank up. British guys, they've got more of a march attack. March attack. Muskets straight up, shoulder arms or whatever. So they should stand pretty nicely on the base. I'm still going to try to put them further back on the base. Mainly because, well, it'll just look better having all my units kind of set up the same way. You know, with everybody in the back of the stand. But what it'll assist with is if there's a unit that they're engaging that has bayonets sticking out the front, you know, a lot like those lights that I just did. When the two bases collide in a melee, if the bayonets stick out just a little bit too far in front, if these figures are in the back, it shouldn't they should be compatible. That's the idea. Whoa, this guy's got a lot of flock stuck to his. Okay, now he's got a green plume. So he's part of the lights. Now, I don't know how I want to work out skirmishers. I don't think I'm going to have special rules for skirmishers. I think I might have mentioned this before in like when I talked about my rules and how I don't want to micromanage the battalions. That's a battalion commander's job to deploy skirmishers, not the player. Okay, and so you can assume that the battalion commander has deployed skirmishers when appropriate, and you just don't see it, you know, figure wise. Well, first of all, they're skirmishing, they're invisible, they're hiding, they're behind rocks, you know, they're out there, they're spread out, and that's done at the ground scale. And as a player, I don't want you to be a ground commander. I want you to be the corps commander or a division commander, but yeah, a corps commander, like deploying skirmishers is not your job. And so skirmishers will be assumed, and it will be in the die roll. So like if somebody shoots you and they roll really badly, maybe it's because you have skirmishers out. You just don't see them. Not because they're bad shots, but maybe you've got skirmishers. Or maybe when they shoot and they do a lot of damage to you, maybe your battalion commander forgot to put out skirmishers. But that's not a concern for a corps commander. He just needs to know where his units are. You need to put them in the best position for success. It might be a brigade commander's purview to deploy skirmishers. It could be the brigade commander as well. But again, that's not the player. And Napoleon's battles actually said it very well. A unit like British line infantry or whatever, shooting 4 inches on the table is way too far for an engagement. And if you could imagine a light unit firing 6 or 7 inches, that is way too far ground scale, right? Because that would be like 700 meters. Muskets don't shoot that far. It looks right based on the figure scale, 15 millimeter, to shoot 7 inches. But ground scale, it doesn't look right. But you can imagine that all the units have skirmishers deployed, and the skirmishers are the ones doing the shooting, not the actual unit. You just don't see them because there's no such thing as skirmishers in Napoleon's battles. Now they do have a rule where the whole brigade forms skirmish. It's a because it's a brigade level game. The whole brigade forms skirmish. But that's an optional. Okay, everybody's cleaned up. and able to stand on their own. That's a big plus. Okay. So I'm looking for guys with just a plain white plume. They all have the red and white center compass. Here's an NCO. Got 2 officers. Two NCOs. Two drummers. 2 standard bearers. I could do it where I split the standard bearer on my British. It doesn't affect the game. It's just for looks. Not affect the game in any way. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's split it up. There's going to be 2 command stands. Let's just do the 2 command stands first. I probably don't need to use tack. I think I'm going to put the little bit closer to the center. Put the NCO with the pike. With the red, the king's color. Pointing with his sword. Forward. Comparatively. back just a tad. I think that stand will stand. Okay, now on this other side, I think I'm going to put the regimental color close to the left. Oh. Leading the charge. So far, it's looking good. Officer next to the flag. Pointing and looking. Sword to the rear. Drummer on the far next to the officer. So if the officer needs to issue a command, he can look at his drummer boy and say, play charge. Play whatever the play is. Pulling forward and move. There we go. I like it a lot. Okay, so it's all the extra flock falling off. So, go. Got your regimental color, got your king's color, and everybody doing their thing. I like it. Okay, let me push these back just a moment. Get these others glued up. Again, I don't think I need tacky glue. I'm not going to use saving it. Saving my tacky glue. This is still too thin. Even though I added half of a bottle of just straight Elmer's. This was down to there. It was like water and Elmer's mixed. And I added this much Elmer's and it still seems like it's too thin. I don't know. Yeah, it feels like it's still too thin. But it's alright. We'll make it work. Alright, you lights. You school. Yeah, this guy. Straighten him. Okay, that looks. Okay, we got some skirmishers here. He's kind of standing and leaning forward, skirmishing. Oh, kind of a. He's definitely skirmishing. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Really? Okay. That's not where he's going. I just needed to get some glue on him. Now I gotta adjust where I want these guys. Want him there. Gotta move over just a tad. He's gotta go back. Twist. Oh, okay, there we go. That looks good. He's reloading. A little bit to the left. Twist a little bit more. Nice. Yep. Those guys are in position. Now everybody else is pretty much just march attack. And I am pushing them to the rear. Not so far to the rear that they overhang the backside. You know, I want to give there a little bit of grass on the back. Okay. I'm gonna. Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of room. Right? Arch attack right there. I got the same pose on that base, but it's all the way on the other side. So I didn't want same pose to be back to back. Guys are falling pretty much into position pretty quickly. I don't have to worry about them sticking their bayonets out the front. And just need to put them in. Put them on the base. Gap them appropriately. I'm walking in the right direction. Yeah, that was very stink. They went together quick. Quick like. Mm, this guy goes a little bit to the left. Now, comparatively, when you're looking at a unit like this with the 15 millimeter base depth, the files are pretty close together, right? They're okay. It's perfectly fine. But this kind of, the files get not broadened, widened. Yeah. So it looks like instead of them being on top of each other's ass, kind of looks like they're walking like this, which I like actually quite a bit more than these tight formations. Interlocking shields. No. Sorry. Oh, dude. Okay, there must be some crash or something on my table that's causing my figures not wanting to slide very well. Grenadiers still look good. Okay. The Elmers on these guys have almost completely dried, actually. Well, it's not Elmers, I guess it's tacky glue. But it's almost clear. And, oh, something. Even though this guy wouldn't be leading the charge, I'm going to see if these go together well. Getting caught. Ah, the sword. Twist him. There we go. First to the second light. Okay, well, it's going to take me the rest of the day to get these guys swapped over. Just looking at the Elmers over here, I still see some white. It's not completely dry yet. So I probably could. Wow. Too far back. I probably could. I probably could put the texture paste on because it would dry with the Elmers. It would all kind of dry together. But I want to let the Elmers completely dry before I put the. Yeah. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna turn the camera off. Now, I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow. I'll probably be getting ready for my Traveler game that I play every Wednesday night. The first session of the new campaign starts tomorrow night. So I'll see you guys then.